Yeah.
When I get invited to podcasts, that's when I do the live thing, because then it's like nice cross promotion.
Oh God, let's see. Can you grab that there?
So it's funny.
See if we can. No, just put it here. Put it here so I can have something. Shit. Yo.
There we go.
That's it. PFL Europe first event done. Here joined by Nicky
From Air Media Productions.
Yeah.
We've got our credentials right here.
Has his own podcast.
In the booth podcast, we do extended interviews with fighters. We sponsor fighters, and then we also have Corner Talk, which is a shorter on fight week, usually fight oriented questions more than anything. Yeah.
So we met at Bellator Dublin, and next thing you know, we're covering the same event once again.
Yeah.
PFL Europe. Thoughts on the event? What do you think?
Excellent, man. I don't think you can wish for more. First of all, the crowd that showed up for the first fight, it was almost sold out. The full event was sold out eventually. The amount of finishes, I think almost every fight was a finish. You know,
pretty good.
Yeah. So, and then having a showcase fight for Lewis McGrillen, who I learned who he was while I was here. You know, and he really is like
if
a
you're
star.
following the
He's a
podcast.
superstar.
I think I had him a year and a half ago. He was like 2-0, and it was literally like after his second knockout in a row, and his second knockout kind of went viral. So I was like, I need to get this guy on my podcast. That happened at flyweight. You don't see flyweights with that kind of knockout power, and now he's kind of being forced to go up to bantamweight and
Just because they don't have the flyweight division.
Because they don't have. We should have asked Dan Hardy about that.
Yeah, true.
What the fuck's going on?
Well, he's gonna push it himself. Like with Lewis's mouth, the way he talks, he's gonna push it. You know.
Yeah.
Did he have that kind of attitude then as well?
No, like he was like really well spoken and respectful and all that. But then again, I'm media, so I'm that.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to help promote him. You know.
I mean, I still got the respectful vibe, because even when I did my interview with him, it was like very calm, respectful stuff.
Yeah.
But then he would turn to the camera and like say a couple of vicious jabs.
He did say, this is only the beginning, I'm going to keep doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I do remember asking about his left hand, and I remember him saying something about Conor McGregor, you know, having that same kind of desire to emulate that style of career. So he's doing it,
Excellent.
For someone that just met him for the first time and saw him fight, what did you think? Did he back it out?
Looks like the real deal. I mean, so far, I mean, I haven't watched many of it, like his previous fights or anything, but there was no holes really today. You know, could have to do with the opponents as well. We don't know, but he said everything. He backed up. He did everything he said he was gonna do.
You're a side quest.
A side quest.
Who
so
talks like that? Legal.
Actually, you know what?
So my question, you guys are gonna do the interview. My question was, what's your main quest?
It's like $1 million for PFL, $1 billion for the big tournament, you know. But that's actually funny you say that, because everyone I've interviewed so many of the fighters this week, and everyone is like, I'm not looking ahead, I'm not looking past my opponent. This is it. Like, it's very, like, I have to focus at the job at hand. And he's the one that's like, you know, this guy. You know, give me this guy, and the next guy, they're all like NPCs.
NPCs, that's it.
So he does have that confidence, but he also does, like, when you know, get to know him a little bit, he does have the humbleness, and he even outwardly says that towards media, where he isn't walking ahead of his shoes, and he's like, my coach humbles me. My coach is like, you know, are looking at what I have to do and taking steps. He's not like looking too far ahead in that sense.
100%.
Yeah.
Another prospect, obviously main event. Simeon Smooth Powell, again, his MMA debut was against Robbie, that super tall guy from the bare knuckle.
Oh yeah,
that was you know, that was his pro debut, and he choked him out in the first round. So that's how I got to know him.
By choking out, by getting choked out.
Because I was originally watching that fight to support Robbie. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? You know, like, Jesus. Okay, so let me look into him. And then his amateur career was like awesome. So okay, definitely need to keep an eye on this prospect. Eventually had him on the podcast after he was already in PFL, after the flying knee knockout that they were showing this week. So again, Sweet submission. One of my favorites had an arm choke, and I captured, and you guys probably saw the reel. I captured the opponent coming to life, like.
Oh, I'm gonna, yeah, like, we're gonna. I'll make sure to post that. You know what I gotta say?
That was fucking
illegal. It never gets. You never really get used to it when you start really getting to know these people, like on fight week and stuff, like on a personal level, especially if they're from your country. To see that happen, still somehow does something to you, you know.
Yeah.
It was kind of strange to see sometimes, but at the same time, you snap out of it quick, and then I realized like. What's wrong with me? Like, am I so desensitized by the sport? Like,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Dakota, again, saw her for the first time at Cage Steel, smashed a woman's head in with elbows. I remember the commentators like, those elbows are vicious and this and that, and you could hear the pop from every single elbow, you know, on the stream, on the live stream. This was like through COVID, so there was like no.
That's when it was new to us too, like hearing that. Yeah.
Like so, from that moment, I was like, okay, I'll keep following her. Definitely a prospect. And then I found out that there was some history between her and one of the Irish prospects, Shauna Bannon, who's now fighting for Invicta. 5-0 as well, undefeated. So yeah.
I wonder where they're gonna meet at some point.
One can hope, right?
Yeah.
Like I only see the only way for them to meet to be UFC at this point.
Yeah.
Because Dakota can only jump from here to the UFC, and Shauna can only jump from Invicta to the UFC.
And Invicta's kind of a feeder league to the UFC in a way.
Yeah. Unless she wants to come over to PFL.
Yeah.
Can happen too.
I mean, they are competing. Like people want that $1 million, and sometimes they see like less competition. They're like, maybe it's an easier path towards more money. That's how a lot of people see it.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
You want the money, you want the fights.
Yeah.
Like, how can you make that happen? And yes, UFC might be a tougher road. Here might be an easier road.
Also, UFC is so dependent on your personality as well and stuff. And here, there's a clear league system to it in PFL that you just know your path already.
Yeah.
And you know that at the end of the day, it's $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what.
And that's, I think, is pretty cool for the fighters in terms of the fighter pay. There's a lot of problems with that from the UFC side of things. But then you look from the UFC down, and then all the other leagues as well. I know from having off-the-record conversations with fighters the kind of pay that they get. And what PFL is doing is like, okay, there's nobody else.
It's a game changer.
Doing pretty much.
What's interesting, like I've tracked back a little bit on the fighter pay debate in terms of the UFC specifically, because they might not pay the top fighters as much as they deserve. That's true. Obviously, they are paying the middle and the lower end fighters more than they would make in most other promotions, but the distribution of the money that they're talking about that the UFC has is being pumped into basically growing the sport and giving people from regions that didn't even have MMA a chance to be discovered and get the training and the money they deserve. In terms of like setting up these PIs in different countries and stuff like that, you know, they are still the flag bearer of, you know, growing the name of MMA in the world like that.
But
that's where their money goes.
I would like to see the guys from the bottom up being paid way more. Like, if you made it to the UFC, that should mean you made it. Like, you don't need to work as a fireman or whatever happens to be. Like,
it doesn't even take that much.
That's your job. You are in the best. Like, you're within the best. Like, UFC should be the best, right? That's what it should stand for. It's the best place you can be as a fighter. That's where you want your career to land. And okay, so that should mean between fight to fight, you should not be worried about money. It's like, I got paid so much for this fight, I'm okay to cruise until the next one. And
considering injuries as well, Like, what's I think what's the lowest now? It's 10-10.
12-12, I think it was raised.
12-12.
This was like 7 years ago or 5 years ago.
It's still 12-12.
Yeah.
Look at those. Yeah. Which,
so.
Considering a lot of these people fight twice a year, sometimes even if you consider injuries, it's not enough. You know, you still have to have your job. So.
Yeah. Obviously, you are banking on winning, but the Maz is one of those fighters has to lose. So one of those fighters is going to make just the 12.
Yeah. And then the fees. Gym fees and your manager fees. And
the odds are, so if you have two fighters that lost, then that means the odds of one of them losing again in a row on their second fight.
Guys, we're going to have to kick you out very soon, I'm afraid, guys.
No worries. Here, we'll finish anyway. Good talk.
Yep.
Thanks for joining, Nicky.
Love, man.
And yeah, catch you guys at the next one.
Hey.